Well, welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you can become the best bookkeeper you can be, because on Workshop Wednesdays, we have casual conversations for serious workflows and nothing more serious than PCI compliance. Right,
Oh
Rachel?
boy. Very serious.
All right. So last week we talked about the Go Payment app and new things that you can do in the Go Payment app, adding users and those types of things, and the whole story and the history behind Go Payment versus QuickBooks Online's mobile app. And the reason that Go Payment came to be was this whole thing about PCI compliance. And then when I mentioned that, Rachel had that deer in headlights look.
What's that?
Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about that first, and then we'll talk about the QuickBooks Online mobile app and what you can do inside of that.
Because now I feel like I'm an expert on the green and the blue.
Yes. So now you, if nothing else, that's what you know about the Go Payment app, is there could potentially be two of them.
Yes.
And Dan is stuck in the blue.
I have the green. Mine's more modern.
Right. You're cooler than me, which goes beyond the workshop. But anywho, so PCI Compliance stands for Payment Card Industry. And then there are a set, it's kind of like any trade organization, right? Is they're going to have a trade organization that kind of governs that industry. So PCI Compliance is all about what you do with credit cards and payments, right? Because these days, and you and I were talking right before this, the dark webs is all over the place, right? And you hear every day about new your information is now compromised. There's always a data breach. There always seems to be. I mean, what's the latest? It just always seems either you're giving that information away willingly, and somebody is collecting it without your knowledge, or you're playing some silly Facebook game about what
your favorite things.
What Stranger Characters or Stranger Things character am I?
Yeah. Or what's your mother's maiden name?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's bonkers, right? But when you're dealing with other people's funds, like their credit card or bank information, those types of things, you need to be PCI compliant. Payment Card Industry Standards is what that's all about. Now, the software that you're using can be PCI compliant, but that doesn't mean that you, Rachel, at Net Deposited, are PCI compliant, right? So, some of the things about we want to kind of distinguish between being PCI compliant and as a software or service, and being PCI compliant as a business. They're two separate things, right?
Oh, I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I really want to know all the ins and outs of this, because all of us that, are firm owners or, even employees, and we work remotely. My employees work all over the country. And so, we really have, with cloud accounting, we really have to make sure everything is secure. And I try and stay up to date with the most secure knowledge there is out there, because I take it really, really seriously.
Right. And this gets really confusing, because I think last year or the year before that, anybody who had a QuickBooks merchant account got inundated with these nebulous emails.
Yes, I remember. But I didn't really know what they meant. So maybe you can shed some light on that.
Right. So the whole the point of confusion had to deal with the distinction between, the Intuit QuickBooks software being PCI compliant and your business practices being PCI compliant.
Right.
So
we work with many other things besides just accounting.
Right. because QuickBooks itself is a PCI compliant piece of software, right? If you go in and you charge somebody's credit card inside of QuickBooks, the moment you step off that field by typing in the credit card number, you can never see it again, right? So there is no way, even you as the primary admin, you know, you won't be able to see that credit card number again.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
That's part of being the software being PCI compliant, right? So as
Yep.
soon as it's basically as soon as somebody swipes or types in a credit card number, that is the last you
Yeah.
should
No more.
be able
It's
to
not
see.
anymore. It's not visible to you anymore. That's it.
Right. And it becomes encrypted. In QuickBooks Desktop, they have this whole thing where you have to change your password every 90 days, and what that does is it re-encrypts all that sensitive data inside of QuickBooks Desktop. Thankfully, you don't have to do that with QuickBooks Online. I mean, I can't imagine trying to keep track of your password. Because especially if that's all you need to get inside of your QuickBooks is a login, and you can't log in, well, you're pretty much done for the day if you can't sign in.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you're using a password manager, and if that were the case, you could consistently update your password there. I actually wouldn't mind if I had to change my QuickBooks password frequently. I don't want to change my username, but I wouldn't mind
Right.
changing my password.
Yeah, that's another topic for another
Yeah.
talk about the difference between logins and emails and the services that are attached to, as far as Intuit is concerned. But so the big distinction is, the software is PCI compliant, meaning that it's you'll never be able to access customers' payment information as soon as you enter it into QuickBooks. Um, when you convert data between platforms, that information doesn't come over.
Right.
So that is typically, sometimes a concern when people move from desktop to online. It's like, oh my goodness, I now have to ask all my customers again for their credit card. But also, with regards to QuickBooks emailing invoices, right? You email an invoice, the customer is the one that is entering in their payment information. Right. That information is stored, but it's stored, PCI compliant, with underneath that umbrella of PCI compliance.
I can't see it.
You'll never see it.
I'll never see it.
But the encryption, it's stored securely, so that in the worst case scenario of a data breach, that information won't be accessible, because the reverse engineering of 256-bit whatever it is that they do is virtually impossible to do. But that's great for the software. But you, Rachel, as a business owner, may have some non-PCI compliant business practices, because how do you get that information into QuickBooks? Well, do you ask for your customers to email you your credit card information? Well, that's not
never, ever.
Or just text it to me, right? Or those types of things are not PCI compliant business practices,
right?
And that's what the source of where those emails were coming from, when people were getting those emails of like, hey, sign up for this service and then you'll be PCI compliant, right? So that's the big distinction between the two, of having a software that's PCI compliant and having a business practice that's certified PCI compliance. And that's what they do.
So helpful. I adopted a lot of practices that I knew were better. Like, I would tell my clients, don't ever email. We use a secure file uploading system. We don't ever email anything, text anything. So I always thought, that was as secure as we could be, but now I understand, like, this is essential. We have to, as a business, I have to be PCI compliant.
Right. Yeah. Because, I mean, you may have a person, right? Or, someone that goes, okay, they like, can you just charge my card? Okay. And then they write it on a sticky note, and then they use that to, to enter that into the QuickBooks. Well, that particular part of having it on a sticky note floating around the office, that was one of the things, like, some of the sites that I had been to with Intuit, like they would outsource or what have you. They had a policy of no paper, right? Where, nobody could write down, any of this sensitive, personally identifiable information, inclusive of credit cards. They had dry erase boards, but not paper, right? So they couldn't keep those things. So I wanted to share this particular article, which is all about learning about QuickBooks PCI compliance, which has a lot of information in it. What's PCI DSS compliance? We expand on that. Oh, there's 12 requirements that you need to do. Protecting your own systems with firewalls is one of them. Using adequate configuration standards, protecting stored data. I mean, these are all the things that you, as a business owner, should be doing. And that's what these services and these emails were all about, is, hey, let's make sure, like, let's kind of like audit your business practices and make sure that, and then certify that you are being PCI compliant. And that's some of these things that QuickBooks doesn't have any dealings with, right? Like, they don't govern anything regarding you and your firewall practice.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Are you going to post this link in the where you post the links?
Yeah.
Because I want to keep this and save this.
Right.
Do a little bit more research, because I'm thinking about. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just put it in the chat.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm thinking about now, not necessarily just QuickBooks, but some of the other apps that I use that I know take payments. Customer payments, and one in particular I'm thinking of, I know is PCI compliant, but yeah, it makes me want to take a look at all things.
Right. I tried to put it in the chat, and I got a message that said, "Oops."
Oops.
So I don't know if you can see and put it in the chat.
No, it worked for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I was able to click on it. I didn't get an oops.
Okay, good. Well, I tried to put it in there, and it's saying reload, which I don't want to reload the page, because then that may cause me to disappear, and then Rachel will be just sitting here wondering. So we don't want that. So Jamie says it's in the chat. So good. Okay. We have confirmation from those that are watching about that. But that's all about the PCI compliance. And then where this comes into play here is that GoPayment, as we talked about before, and why does it do that? I don't understand that. Makes me so huge when I stop sharing. Don't want that. Where GoPayment came into being was because it was a PCI compliant software, and QuickBooks Online, the mobile app, was not, right? So that was the initial distinction between why I had to have a GoPayment app when I had QuickBooks Online, until developments happened, and now QuickBooks Online is a PCI compliant application and software. So when you are using QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Payments, you don't need to process credit cards with GoPayment solely, right? You can do that now inside of the QuickBooks Online app. Right.
Can I ask you a quick question, Dan? So
you may.
So I'm guessing Stripe and Square and all of these payment processors, these guys are all PCI compliant. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So fundamentally, does something become PCI compliant because it's not saving the customer facing payment information? Is that what makes it PCI compliant, or are there other things involved?
I am sure there are other things, but that is the things that you see externally, right?
Okay.
I think the technical term is obfuscation,
Oh,
which ob,
what?
obfuscation. That's basically when you step out of the field and it X's out everything but the last four digits.
Obfuscation.
Ob,
Okay. I'll try to have my son say that 3 times fast.
that's right, right. Yeah, X'd out. That's the layman's term for
Yeah.
for it. As soon as you step off the field, it's
Yes.
you cannot see anything but the last 4 digits. Is obfuscation, and that is the thing that you notice first about something being PCI compliant is
Okay.
it does that, right? Like as soon as you step off that field and enter the card or scan the card, that's the last you see of it.
Yeah.
Because there is some masking of the actual numbers that are in there, and makes it mathematically
Cool.
infinitely more
really
challenges.
cool.
Well, not infinitely. I mean, there is a finite number of options, but it's not worth your time if you don't see the 16 digits or
Got
15 if it's American Express.
So now it doesn't X out part of it, it's gone.
As well, it's still there, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, once you
Well, it's
enter
underneath
in,
it processing the payment, but I can't see it anymore. It's not like
right,
a couple digits and then the rest is X'd out. I can't see it.
right.
Okay.
But you'll be able to use it again, right? Because if you're storing, right, that it has to qualify, or meet all this criteria to become a PCI piece of software. But QuickBooks does that. It will be able to store the payment information. It's just nobody will be able to get their hands on it.
Understood. Okay.
Unless they're the software engineer that created this whole process,
which I am not.
Right.
I don't know how to obfuscate.
That's right. I can't even regularly skate sometimes. That's how I broke my elbow. Another story, another time. So that's that. As far as like what PCI compliance is, I mean, we could spend probably the better part of an hour chatting this up, but we wanted to talk a little bit about the QuickBooks Online mobile app, because now that you know that is also PCI compliant, it now gives you the choice of, okay, if I am accepting credit cards or payments in front of somebody with an app, do I want to use the QBO app or do I want to use the GoPayment app? Now we've determined yesterday, right, the difference between the blue and the green experience.
Last week, not yesterday.
Oh yes, right. It seems like yesterday.
Yeah,
but it was last week. Last time. Thank you. We talked about the difference between the two, and if you are on the green experience, there's really no need. The only thing that you would probably that would enter into the equation of, okay, do I use GoPayment over QuickBooks Online, is if I have some people that don't need access to anything else in my QuickBooks.
Right.
So
that's what you were saying, because we can assign roles in GoPayment.
Right. So if you have people that you don't want to have access to your books, they just are out in the field collecting payments in front of, as a customer facing individual, then that is where GoPayment will come into the mix. If it's you, right, you as the owner, you as the company admin, needing to collect payments, there's really no reason not to do it from within QuickBooks, the mobile app, because it does exactly the same thing, and it does it even a little bit better than Go Payment, because you're not necessarily needing to make sure that you're using the right login and those types of things. If you can see your QuickBooks data, and if you need to create an item or add a customer, it's all done within the app itself.
Yeah. But let me ask you a quick question. Remind me, can we use the swiper with QuickBooks app, the QuickBooks app, meaning QuickBooks Accounting, that app, not Go Payment?
Yes, the card reader that we had talked about last time. Yes, you can use that.
Oh,
It's
good.
a little. I was checking. I was poking around that the app itself went into an update a couple weeks ago, and you used to be able to do a lot more, and I'm not sure why it changed.
They took away some things.
It took away some things. So I wanted to bring this up first, which is a really nice article. I will put it in the chat as well. So we'll quickly throw that in there.
And
which
this
is really
is
nice.
The one that says QuickBooks Accounting in the App Store.
Right. So this is the QuickBooks Accounting app in your App Store of choice. But this will give you an idea, side-by-side comparison as to what the iPhone, iPad, Android, or Android tablet app is capable of doing, right? And this looks to be complete. When I was looking at this and comparing it to the app, it seems to be fairly comprehensive. So customers, you can create and manage customers, import customers from contacts, see a customer on the map, right? So these are just some of the things that you can do with customers inside the app. Obviously, it's a little hard to do that on a computer, right? So this mobile app allows you to do that. And you can see, the difference between, where Android might not be able to do some things. Negative it's just an odd thing, like entering negative prices and rates that you can't do in the Android app over the iPhone app. I guess, iPhone users are a little bit more negative.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need to put in maybe a discount, or actually no, or a fee. Like sometimes you want to add like a line maybe for a fee or something, and so you want to put a negative amount.
Right. And then we have, some other things in here like tracking expenses using the location and class field. That's a nice thing to be able to do, other than, having to enter that in and then update it later, right?
Wait, I can't see because the top menu is hidden now, but you can't do that on a Android. You can only do that on a
Yeah, tracking expenses using the location and class fields checked off for these two are the iOS, and then the other two are the Android. So kind of looking here, manually refreshing bank feeds. I'm not sure why you would not be able to do that in the Android, but so definitely, kind of looking through some of these things. Oh, here's one: managing notification for customer calls is only in the Android.
I don't even really know what that is, though, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it would be nice if there was a little help bubble to actually tell you what that was. And Susan is an Android user, and
oh, that's funny. There's also somebody's got a question too, Dan, in the chat. It's not really related to this, but I agree, Jamie. I'm an iPhone gal. Yes. But I only say that because I don't know how.
Yeah, we don't want this to turn into an Android versus iPhone workshop, because it will definitely, you're not going to change anybody's opinion, even though you're a green bubble person in the group chat.
Well, the only reason I use an iPhone is because I just don't know how to use the other one.
That's right.
And right now, I don't want to take the time to learn anything new.
Yeah, well, you've been bull runned. That's the type of they surrounded you by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, create a gesture lock. Well, you can do that on the Android. And I'm sure Susan has some wonderful gestures that that she's created.
Wait a minute. What's the send overdue invoice notices? I want to see that one, because that one I like.
Wait, where
send a
was
reminder. If I'm out and about, I want to send a reminder.
I
saw it.
Send arrow. I lost it here.
Yeah.
Send. Oh.
Oh boy, what'd you do?
Well, I was just looking for the word "send" on the on the screen. Well,
it's okay. I can barely see
they're
it
here.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's here. You can comb through. You can comb through the differences, but that is the thing about the mobile app itself is it's capable of doing these things, and it's synchronized between QuickBooks Online.
Yes.
So, assuming your app can do this, I got to stare at my phone again because it went asleep. I don't know what gesture I would use to unlock that, Susan. But let me go ahead and share that.
Oh, it's all of them. See overdue invoice notifications. It didn't said send reminders. It said see overdue invoice notifications on both. I don't care about seeing them. I want to send a reminder, but I don't really send any invoices anymore, so that's all right.
So this is the newest iteration of the app on the iPhone. It has a nice today's screen, and then there's a my business, which will give you a profitability, some access to reports. You can see mileage underneath there, and then under the menu option at the bottom will give you shortcuts to do some things, right? Like, so you can see your attachments, right? These are synchronized attachments that you have already uploaded. Maybe you snapped a picture of them, and they're synchronized and attached to transactions. The all option, so the shortcuts is kind of like your top 8 friends from MySpace, right?
Yeah.
going way back there in the social media. But all at the top allows you to see all of the things that you can do, right? And to kind of going to, this is where I was hunting around, like, okay, well, how do you attach a card reader like we did last time?
Because that's what I was curious about.
Yeah, so I was going into settings, and there they are down here.
Right there.
Right. I couldn't see it before because I was in a client that didn't have payments set up. But another way that you can do it is just by going into a sales receipt, right? Whoops. Or actually, let me do this. Just creating an invoice payment. Okay, this was not looking. Where did it go? Okay, so if I do credit card, no.
By the way, I love that it defaults to undeposited funds. How cool is that?
Or payments to deposit, depending on the version.
I don't recognize payment to deposit. I'm sorry. I go with undeposited funds.
That's what it was. Where? Oh, here, plus payment. No. Okay. Then we go credit. Next. Trying to find my card reader.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not turned on.
I wonder if you got to like turn on the little Bluetooth.
Yeah, they're not turned on, so it's not.
So it's like pairing really right now.
When I originally went in there, first time this finding card reader that's swirling at the very top would say card reader not connected, and I could tap on it, and then it would go through that process that we saw last week.
What if it accidentally finds my earbuds or something, or if it accidentally finds my Bluetooth speaker and then starts playing Snoop Dogg through it or something? Does that happen, or does it disconnect the card reader?
I think it only look for eligible card reader.
Well, you never know.
You never know. Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, you always have options to key in the card at the bottom if you tap on other payment options at the bottom, or you can scan the card.
Scan the card. Right? I like that.
But you will then ask to look at your, turn on access the phone, and then be able to, scan said card, and then it will bring that in. Now, I'm not sure what rate you get by doing it that way, because in that regard, it was present, right? So
so maybe you get a lower rate.
Card present.
Yeah.
So you should be able to get a lower rate by that, and it may not be, the swiped rate, because especially if you've used the EMV, the little chip option, that is a far more secure method
Mhm.
for the payment providers to know
Yes.
that card is physically present, as opposed to even swiping, because
Wait, so
your magnetic strip.
chip equals most secure equals lowest rate.
Yes.
Ooh.
Swipe is still the lowest rate. It's just you don't get any benefit of using a chip versus a swipe.
Oh, okay. So they're both considered equal.
Yes.
Mm. All right.
Yeah, but you have to offer the option to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
All right. So kind of going through, your general ideas. You've got transactions. You can snap a receipt, and then this is great for when you're out and you have a receipt that you need to bring into your QuickBooks. You can collect it, snap on it, not you can snap a picture of the receipt. Categories is really just your chart of accounts, which drives
Wait,
accountants bonkers.
what? That's chart of accounts?
Yes,
Oh,
because again, this is business focused, not
QuickBooks.
accountant focused.
All right, fine.
They would like to categorize um, the they would like to categorize things, not necessarily chart of accounts. That's
Yes.
more of the accountant term. Invoices, estimates,
Well, it's a little
customers.
confusing because there are categories in QuickBooks. Ah,
Yes. Yeah, not to be an item category. Yeah,
yes.
that would definitely do that. But then
Dan,
you've got
you're getting some comments on the right
Hmm,
hand side, so
yeah.
just want to let you
Um,
know.
yes. I'll have to review them, just to make sure that I'm understanding what it is, and we can reach out, follow up afterwards
Yes,
after the
it looks like
workshop.
somebody has got a question about just QuickBooks in general,
Mhm.
in setting up, and then someone else is saying, yes, can you please provide some links, a brief explanation? So
Yeah,
that's a
we do have a
broad
yeah,
category.
very very broad question, but we do have set up QuickBooks Online courses in School of
Yeah,
Bookkeeping, so that's a great way to
tons of
start.
resources.
Is check those courses out. You can try them for free for 30 days. Uh, Let us know. You can ask questions in the comments and things of that nature. But yeah, so these are the general ideas that you can do. Mileage is a really nice thing to be able to do that on the app itself, because your phone's with you. You can track your mileage, and then mark that down as for deduction purposes. It was always very humorous to me when I got a question of like, I don't see mileage on my profit and loss. You won't.
Doesn't go on there, but I do love this, and a lot of folks are on the road
Mhm.
for their business, and this is really, really helpful.
So those are the general ideas of the things that you can do inside of the mobile app itself. We Again, it did this thing where it's not trying. I'm not trying to be larger than you, Rachel.
Oh, Dan.
I'm trying to sit back so we're the same size. Um, but those are the things that you can do in the QBO app. Again, if you're charging credit cards, um, and you are the person doing it, and you don't mind the people having access to be able to see said things in the app, you can use the app itself over Go Payment, or you can segregate the two so that you have a Go Payments only mobile collection payment user, and
Yeah,
you
I
do your
love
own
that you
stuff.
can do that because I mean, there's a lot of situations that businesses may not want, their field team having access to. Hey, guess what? It's not even just having access to; it's inadvertently touching things and goofing things up because it's on the app, and it doesn't necessarily look the way it looks in regular facing QuickBooks Online. So that's more
Right.
my concern than anything, is having somebody like, ooh, and then,
the bank feed experience is way different in the app than it is in on the mobile or on the website. And I just realized what the people in the chat were saying, because they're talking to us on LinkedIn, and all of the links that I'm sending don't get sent over there because
that's right.
LinkedIn is being a nudge. That's some
LinkedIn doesn't have the same.
I will find you and follow up.
Sharon and Jessutomi.
Yes.
That would be really helpful.
Awesome. So we'll continue down this path of doing some of the things that you can do inside the app as we continue this workshop series. We are taking these workshops and repurposing them as individual lessons in School of Bookkeeping. So like last week, I already took what we had talked about, put it down into bite-sized chunks, and it's all part of the QuickBooks Payments course that we have. So so this is a great exercise in going through a lot of this stuff, and we appreciate you joining us today. And I am stalling for time because I need to get the outro video. I need an assistant.
Because maybe can you explain, what are some of the other courses you have in School of Bookkeeping? Because there's a lot you need to know to do QuickBooks, right?
And this serves as a great refresher for us as we're going through some of these topics and needing to update our lessons inside of QuickBooks, because 2 weeks ago, if we would have done something on the QBO app, it would have looked completely different, because there are things that you can you can use you could have used the QuickBooks checking and transferred things into your envelopes and those types of things. I think that was the main reason for the update, because that went away, and it probably, again, because it was a money movement activity. Maybe it wasn't PCI compliant. I don't know.
And I have to say, I mean, it's important for us to get continued education on things, because I didn't know the specifics of PCI compliant. And I'll tell you, and Jamie's on with us right now, and Jamie loves your shirt. Jamie and I monitor thousands of payments per day. So it's really, really important to understand, PCI compliance. I concur.
Yes. So we'll continue to kind of go through some of the topics of things that you can do. Like we'll talk about the things inside the QBO app that you can do. But to answer your question, what we've tried to do in School of Bookkeeping is take the nebulous things about QuickBooks and put them into bite-sized consumable nuggets and tutorials, right? So we go through every feature of every version of QuickBooks Online, and give an overview of that, and then we use that as the foundation to build on the tougher stuff, right? So we have this whole idea or this concept of let's start with Mr. Rogers and graduate into Sesame Street, and then go into Electric Company. No, I don't know.
Because
as you learn more, right?
Everything as a whole, it can get very overwhelming. And so, especially if maybe you're a business owner and don't necessarily have a background in bookkeeping or accounting, yet you still, and maybe you do have a professional helping you, a professional bookkeeper, accountant, but you still want to understand, the flow of information. You want to know the fundamentals. You want to know what's going on. And when business owners understand more, I like it. I really do. When they understand how to the information moves within their QuickBooks, maybe how they can use the app. I really like it when they know as much as possible.
Yes. Yeah, there's a great book called Accounting for the Number Phobic. If you haven't read that book, that's really good.
Ooh, good one.
Don Fotopoulos wrote the book, and it's really good because especially the first 4 chapters, it talks about some, whose job is it, right? Like, it's not your accountant's or bookkeeper's job to make sure that the numbers are meaningful. I mean, and they are. Their job is to get the data in a meaningful way.
Yes.
But to tell you what that means, it's not necessarily their job unless that's part of their scope. Like,
right.
Okay, we're going to meet every 2 weeks and we'll talk about your profit and loss and what this actually means.
But you know what? Even if we are conveying more, we're interpreting information and giving it to them, which we do with a lot of our clients. If they don't even understand what we're saying, it's meaningless. So even for them to understand the basics of, what goes on what statement, what does this mean? It's really, really important as a business owner to understand those fundamentals.
Exactly. So we go through some of these Mr. Rogers-esque courses, like what does a cash flow statement actually mean and what does it tell you, in School of Bookkeeping. So, check them out if you want, or not. It's totally fine. They're there for you, or not. How about that for choice? All right. So we will see you next time on the workshop. Always a pleasure to see you, Rachel, and everyone that is joining us. And I will follow up with whomever I need to on LinkedIn to make sure that you have the information that you need post the show here. Really appreciate you joining us today, and we'll see you next time on the workshop.